Hi everyone, I'm Mark and this is Game Develop's Journey. In this video, I will guide you step by step how to create the player movement of SUPERHOT. Let's start. Okay, we must start from the basic. So, in the Epic Games Store, go to Unreal Engine and in Library, sorry, I have the Italian version. In the library, in the engine version, click Add and install the new version of the engine, the last version of the engine. I already have 5.5.4, so I don't have to install it, okay? So, when the installation is over, click open, okay? Okay, now we have the real project browser. In this browser, we can create our project. In this case, I want to choose blank project, okay? So let's choose blueprint, desktop, and the quality preset I choose scalable, but if you have a very powerful hardware, you can choose maximum. Okay, click to starter content, click this little icon, and name the project whatever you want. I name it SUPERHOT, so click create. Now we have this blank project and this blank level, and if you press start, there are simply nothing, okay? We have no character, we have nothing. Okay, so in the content drawer, we must set up our folders, okay? So let's create the first folder, that is blueprints, that contain all the blueprints, okay, that contain all the blueprint actors that we need. And create another folders that call it input, okay? In this folder, we put all the input action that we create. In the blueprints folder, we must create 3 blueprints. The first blueprint class is our character, okay? Our character and call BP underscore main character, okay? Another blueprint class, player controller, BP player controller, and another blueprint class, game mode base, BP underscore game mode, and I call it game mode, okay? Save all, and we have 3 different blueprint classes. Double click on BP main character, okay, and this is the character that we use when we move in the world, okay? But now there are no graphs, no actions, nothing. We need to set up also our project settings, because if you press start now, nothing happened. We move the camera, but we cannot move the character. To change that, go to project settings, maps and modes, and in the select game mode, I will choose not game mode base, but BP game mode, our game mode, the game mode that we created a few seconds ago. And in the default pawn class, I will choose BP main character. In the player controller class, I will choose BP player controller. So now, if you add in the basic a player start, so simply spawn our character, okay? Okay, now we have the control of our character, okay? And to explain that, go here, and you can see BP main character, okay? It works. Now, when we press start, you can control nothing, because if I press W, nothing happens, or A or D or S. So we must change it. For change it, we must set up our input, this folder here. So I create another folder and I call it actions. And in this folder, I will create all the action that we need for our game. In my case, for this episode. So input action, IA, and underscore, I call move another, so I can duplicate it, Ctrl C, Ctrl D. EA move, no, EA jump, and another, and I rename it EA look, because this is for the camera, okay? But we also need another thing for our input. And this asset is called input mapping context. This input mapping context is the main folder that contains every input action for that specific category. Maybe you can create one input mapping context for all the game. In reality, in many cases, you would create many different input mapping contexts, because you want every input mapping context for a different purpose. Okay, so our input mapping context, I call it main context. Okay, save many times, save all. Oh yes, I save level as another folder, maps, and in this folder I save it like test level, or maybe main level. Okay, so we have saved everything, and now we must set up all the actions. Okay, so double click on jump, and jump is already perfect, because in the value type is already digital, is bool, because it can be or true or false, or spacebar pressed or not. In the IA move, I will set up access to the vector, okay? Because the movement go from X and epsilon. And in the IA look, I will choose an axis to the vector, okay? Now go in the main context, double click, and we must set up our mappings. So we must set up every action, add every action and set up it, okay? So in the EA jump, I press spacebar, I click here, I click here and I press spacebar to fill it. In AI look, I choose, I add many different control, W, S, D, A, arrow up, arrow down, arrow left, arrow right, and arrow left. Okay, so now we must set up every single cue. The W must contain a modifier, and the modifier is swizzle input axis value, because we want to use only the epsilon axis of do the action. Okay, S, swizzle, and for the S we must set up also another modifier, and that modifier is negate, because we don't want a value of 1, but we want a value of -1 because the move is not into the direction of the vector, but have the opposite direction. Okay. In the D we cannot choose anything, but in the A we must set up another negate. And for the up, down, right, and left, we set up everything equal. So and this is it. Okay. In the AI, oh no. Okay, EA move maybe. No. Okay. Okay. Perfect. No problem. Okay, so we have jump, move, and also look. So in the look, I choose the mouse to the axis. So save everything, and now we can go into main character. So we take this node, event begin play, and now we must call get player controller. And this is very important because this value we must cast to player controller. Okay, so we now have access to get player controller as a controller, and this controller we must use it to get input of course, get enhanced input local player subsystem is a very long name. Add context, add mapping context. Okay. Maybe I set up a condition is valid. So if the controller is valid, we add mapping context. If it's not valid, we cannot add mapping context. Okay, this is a security blueprint in this case. The mapping context, of course, I choose main context, and now we have add mapping context. We can set up jump. Okay, and we have it finally. Enhanced input action have different output. There is trigger, started, ongoing, cancelled, completed, action value, and many different things. For this specific case, we can consider only triggered. Okay, so in this enhanced input action a jump, we must collegate it triggered with jump. Simply jump is a function pre-built, already built in the engine. Okay, and this is it. Okay, jump, perfect. And now we get the move. Move. Okay. Okay, enhanced input action AI move is a little different because we want to add a movement, add movement input. And we can duplicate it and use it. So we must split the action value into the x epsilon axis because it is a 2D vector, okay? And we must get right vector because this movement input is for the D and A key, for the movement to the right and to the left. So get right vector and colligate one direction, okay? And the action value x go to scale value. Oh no. Oh, okay. Okay, move. Perfect. The action value epsilon go to scale value from into the other movement input. Of course, so always organize every graphs because otherwise it's a little chaotic. Okay, so in this case we get the right vector. In this case, in the other case, we must get forward vector. Okay, so now we have the movement set up. Maybe select everything in this section. Press C to comment. I comment like a movement input. This is jump input. But now if we press start, there is a black screen. Oh my god. To fix this, we must add a camera. Otherwise, the player cannot see anything. So I move a little bit. Okay. And it works. You can see that I move, when I press W, I move forward. Press S, D, A, arrow up, arrow down, arrow right, arrow left. Okay, so we now have the movement. I save this new map. Maybe I substitute. Okay, and I must set up also the camera. Okay, so now we have the enhance input action AI look. Okay, so we need trigger because we must add controller yaw input and also add controller pitch input. Yaw input is for left and right. Pitch input is for up and down. Okay, so for the pitch input, we place action value epsilon on the value. Okay. Okay, maybe organize a little bit. And the X go to value of the add controller yaw input. But we must have the negative float because we must have the opposite of the value of X. Okay, so minus X. Okay, so compile and save, and in the viewport we must change something because okay, so in the camera options, change use pawn control rotation and set to true. Okay, because we must use the control rotation of the pawn of the character for the rotation of the camera. And in the event graph, I have chosen get actor right vector, but the actor for the right vector is our caps component. So we must get it and get right vector. Okay, so delete it and add this right vector and get forward vector. Delete also this and okay. So now compile, save, and if you press start, you can move the camera, move the player, and jump. So guys, this is it. We have done so much in this episode. We have learned how to implement player movement, how to set up everything, input, and how to use input enhance the input actions. And in the next episode, we will set up the bullet time effect. Okay, so for today is everything, and please, if you enjoyed the video, subscribe. Thanks. Okay, bye bye guys.